How do we solve that?
You
How do we
you
move
don't
on from that?
you don't solve it. You don't have the resources to solve it. I'm not sure if you want to solve it, but you can negotiate with it. And so what you're really asking is, perhaps how can you negotiate with something like this? Well, you have to invest in the market,
Yeah.
right? You can see that the world is being across. In China, it's even worse. But nevertheless, you can see that the world is becoming kind of torn apart by centrifugal force. That's pretty obvious. You can see that people are becoming solipsistic, right? And they're even taking pride in it. That we don't speak a common language, we don't have common morals, we can't even agree what a gender is. And I don't mean to pick on that, but just to show you that I'll use another word. People can't agree on what the word community means anymore. It means something different than it used to mean.
Yeah.
It used to mean people who had kind of a disparate, uh, but they could get along. Okay. Now it means somebody who everybody gets along because there is no disparate, right? So so you can't solve that problem. That problem was going to happen regardless of any type of impotence or any type of rechanneling it, of channeling it elsewhere. You just have to deal with it. But most importantly, if you can see that that's the way it's proceeding, you now have an obligation to yourself and to your family not to suffer it, because it can only go a couple of different ways. So I'm much more interested in the effectual truth of things than the imagination of it.
Hmm. All right, and that's a practical, logical step of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in this instance, and writing my chronicle, I'm much more interested in the evils kind of that humans do than the goods they aspire to. And I see a lot of anti-consequentialists who, you know, they're stamping things, and they don't care about its consequences once it leaves their station. So they're stamping, perhaps it's a nuclear bomb that at its next station is going to kill them, right? So they just have no awareness of it. So they were stamping COVID with their little imprint in
Yeah.
in January, February. They were saying, well, why can't America build hospitals as quickly as China can? I can discuss that in detail. Um, and you were seeing CBS, you were seeing PBS even advocating for a type of temporary communism here. And I've got that on record also. I've had to hard copy everything because they're changing history as we speak. And
Yeah.
in fact, when you take a look at those National Guards, because I've got a thing on the militarization of the police, I've got another one on the rioters. I mean, it's just really, I try not to get lost in the intricacies of my own creation. So
Yeah.
I have a staff helping me out now. But so even if you take a look at those National Guard who had absolutely no reason to be in DC, right? No
Agreed.
reason to be there, just no reason to be there. It was an overwhelming show of force that wasn't needed. I think Jack Murphy, I think I saw Jack Posobiec did a Periscope 2 days ago where he walked through and it's like the green zone in Iraq. It was bizarre. But you saw all those images of the National Guard there, right?
Yep.
And then they're imprinting history. Then you saw the National Guards without a place to sleep, right? Did you see that?
Of course. Yep. And
Okay.
then they shoved them into the I don't know, the parking lot,
Okay. So they're creating history. They're not interested in whether it's true today. You have no power. You're a pleb. They don't care whether you have an awareness that it's not true and that this is some type of a creation. In 5 years, it will have been true. So they're imprinting history.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of interesting because I want to be that historian, because I think in the future, people are going to want to know what happened. And I think there will be elites, and I think those elites are going to have a tremendous amount of intellectual curiosity and inquisitiveness about how did this happen. And they'll be able to kind of look at pieces of it. Like I see what some people are writing about COVID. They're wrong. I don't care
Yeah.
about COVID. I don't care about masks. I don't care about wearing masks. People say, well, what do you think of wearing masks? I call that the trolley problem. All these people that you hear and that you see, and you see the same people on Twitter that I see, they're all trying to show you their solution for the trolley problem. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, of course. It's either which is it's you got two choices. Either both of them are bad. One's less bad, but it's a perception issue. So
Yeah, so what they're doing is everybody in humanity right now in every country is being forced to solve the trolley problem, right? Every single person. And not only that, do they have to solve the trolley problem, they have to present their solution to the rest to the they have to go to the front of the classroom and present their solution and get unanimous approval on their solution. And in our fragmented, solipstic, atomized society, that can't happen, right? So this is an endless game of trolley problems. So all you're seeing when you hear journalists writing about COVID and you think they're smart, they're the problem. Even if they're like, we should open up society, they're the problem also. I don't want to participate in the trolley problem. I don't care about their solution. I don't care. You cannot engage with the trolley problem, and you have to think about it like that, because people are making you choose. Well, look, in this case, you'll get a herd immunity, this and that. Don't engage with that. They're trying to persuade you of their solution to the trolley problem. They want to talk about vaccines twice a day and this type of vaccine. They're trying to present to you their solution for the trolley problem.
Yeah.
And the only way out of that self-reinforcing loop is to get off that ride.
Get off the trolley.
You have to do it. And when people are talking to you about it, you have to let them know you're stepping away from it.
Mm-hmm. That's not easy.
I think about this a lot.
Yeah. It's not easy.
You have to be willing, no matter what, you have to be willing to break a sweat in your mind. You have to. And so what happens is, if you're not willing to, let's say somebody tells you about the solution for masks or whatever it is. Well, we shouldn't wear masks. We should wear masks. Only this people. That's their solution to the trolley problem. They want your agreement to it. But the difficulty is they're really not willing to break a sweat in their mind. So I'm kind of an expert on this stuff. I'm truly a specialist. I don't discuss any of this with people, because no matter what, at the conclusion, I always arrive at some type of an aphoretic ending, right? It's just kind of ironic. There's no resolution. They have no interest in a resolution. And all they do is they try and divert and to move their chess pieces off the board. Right? Yeah. So these people that I get into conversations with, they've got no type of like a sophistical type of regimen. I'm not saying that they're stupid people at all. They're very, very intelligent people, but they've got no type of sophistical regimen, way of arguing themselves. They don't even know how to ask good questions. So I'm not interested in people's answers. I'm very interested in people's questions. And you have to be willing, essentially, to break a sweat in your mind. So if the other person is not willing to break a sweat, you're going to come to a very aphoretic ending. And unless there's going to be a real kind of regimen to the questions, you're just going to wind up they're just going to wind up catching you in kind of the ambiguity of language.
Yeah,
it's all that's going to happen. It's going to be some type of an heuristic, endless loop of them trying to catch you in the ambiguity of language.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't engage in it. You have to you can't try and solve the trolley problem. When people are trying to engage you, you have to be aware of it, and you have to tell them, you have to step aside, and you actually have to tell them.
Well, it seems like, you said earlier, like, you might think that I'm a pessimist, but because you were saying that you're an optimist, but there's a big difference between like negative energy and realistic thought, realism. You can be an optimistic realist.
Yeah.
And that's what I think that's more what your vibe is. You're
I love America. I told people with Trump, I don't give a shit about Trump. I told people with Biden, I don't give a shit about Biden. Look, the fastest roll up of power was happening, with Trump, right? And and I knew that it was going to happen a lot faster under Biden. If Hillary was president, it would have happened so fast your head would spin. She would have had TPP in there. She would have had it would have been a wreck. And I don't know if you've ever read any of my threads, but I write a lot about VAT taxes and Green New Deal, because I do a lot.
We don't need to get into the.
Yeah, I do a lot of forensics on it, but nevertheless, I don't really care about that stuff. And I've told people what I care about is Space Force. You've heard me say that, right?
Yep.
I've cared about Greenland. If Biden were to buy Greenland, screw everything else, he would be one of the greatest presidents in American history.
You think he would actually do that? I know Trump was trying to do it.
Well, the problem is Biden wouldn't. And
It
that's
wouldn't.
a big problem. So I care about policy. Let them do all the BLM and all this other type of stuff. Let them do as much of this white fragility because we're going to lose that battle, right? I disagree with it. I think it creates kind of, I think we're creating a corruption. It's, we're corrupting the body of the public with that type of stuff. But we already know that the world's being turned into a caste system. So we just have to make sure, they're not doing that to us and, to our family. So I care about acquiring Greenland. If Biden were to do that, I would love it. I'd be like, this is incredible. I care about Space Force. And I don't think he's done a good job of Space Force. I think he's actually, and his spokesperson spoke very poorly of Space Force.
You're talking about Biden right now?
It's going to create millions of jobs. So they want to make it green. Now, the problem with green is it affects the distance. It affects how much payload you can carry. True. And it also impacts the acquisition of talent, right? You've got to bring in talent. You've got to attract and retain talent. But now if I have an obligation to find this type of person, that type of person, there's a scarcity.
Yeah. Get rid of meritocracy. And it's like, we can't.
Yeah. You have
we got to have the best people on the job.
Well, we need Space Force. It's going to create millions of jobs. And if we don't do it, if we have 1,000 genders kind of in a cislunar orbit, China won't. And it's a war. We are in a war. I care about winning the war. So I told everybody for years, I'm a huge bull on the market. I've been right. I told everybody I don't care whether it's Trump or whether it's Biden. I knew Trump was going to lose. I think you probably know that. It was 100% that he was going to lose. And I was 100% certain he was going to win in 2016. I didn't think the elites would let him get away with it again. That's the mischievousness of the elites.
The shadow cabal, as the Times article said.
I didn't read the Times article. It's in my thing. I didn't read the thing that Darren sent me about that guy Sidnick. It's in my thing. I'm right now. There's just so much. Again, I'm trying not to get lost in the intricacies of my own creation with it. But and it's just very interesting that the mechanisms that they're employing, they're getting kids to really despise whatever's familiar, right? And that was the same thing that they did in China during the social revolutions. Is they were calling it the four olds, where they were tearing down the old rituals. So and instead they're becoming kind of worshippers of every new extravagance. So they just want to put a lot of extravagance in these kids, and they're creating a They're creating psychopaths. And I did a Periscope with Alan Bukhari, who works for Breitbart News, and with Chuck Pazesky, who is just a brilliant guy. And he said at some point that they're I forget the way he worded it, and I don't want to misrepresent his language, but he essentially said that they're creating psychopaths, and it's going to be a bad thing. So when I look at Twitter and I look at what everything that's happening, I'm really looking at sucking down information. And one of the things that I've seen on Twitter, particularly with COVID, right, is I see people and I think to myself, I don't interact with them about it, but I know they're wrong. Again, I just don't want to get into the trolley problem with them. But I wish they were as quick in anticipating what is said, and I wish they were a lot slower in foreseeing the consequences. Does that make sense to you?
Definitely. Everyone's just nobody wants to face reality, and that's really what it is.